Welcome back, Chrissy,
Hello, hello. Again. Here we are again.
to the Design Duo.
And today we are going to be doing a day or a week in the life of Caroline and Chrissy with our sourcing and our finding of beautiful, unique products.
Absolutely. So how do we start our week? That's probably a good place to start.
Well, often it's a slow start on a Monday morning, but usually I'll arrive at your office and we'll go through our weekend firstly, and then basically we get out the diary, go through all the clients, and we prioritise our clients as in who needs what and when, and then we basically figure out what we're going to do that week, don't we?
Correct.
Which
So
could change, by the way, at any given moment, couldn't it?
every day's a different day for us.
Yes.
So absolutely, that's what we try and achieve.
We try.
But yeah, it does change. So looking in our diary, making sure that we've got everyone's appointment in there and making sure that we can both be there. If not, one of us will be attending.
And the phone might ring 25 times while we're doing that diary
Correct.
entry.
Exactly.
Might be a trade or it might be a supplier. You've got to kind of deal with it immediately, don't you?
Correct. Or our client.
Or our client. And it can often take hours just to get everything in the diary in
Absolutely.
between everything else that's going on.
Absolutely. So from there, we will, as you said, prioritise what we need to do. And so often it is all about let's go, ready, set, go. Where are we going to go? Where do we need to source from? Where do we need to start for this particular job, for that particular client?
And let's get it straight. We love sourcing.
We love sourcing.
This is the best part of the job.
Absolutely. I agree.
And we get to see new products, feel new products, figure out how they will work in a client's area that we're working on. It's massive, isn't it?
Absolutely. We do have a library in our office, which is fantastic. So that definitely helps. And it starts us. I think it starts the job. It really, getting a fan deck and making sure that we're starting with the colour
Hang on
that
a
we
second.
love.
What's a fan deck?
Okay, sorry. Fan deck is, for example, from Porter's Paints. It would be all the colours that they actually have and that they can supply to us and to our clients.
And it's all sort of stapled together into a big catalogue, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and we often take that on jobs, and we also have a look at brush outs. So we can get a brush out from our paint suppliers, and that brush out can go onto a wall so that the client can see it during the day and at night.
Yes, because it changes colour often, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Given the light of the day or the night. But hang on, you've also said your extensive library.
Oh, yes.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, okay. So in my extensive library, we have samples of fabrics. It might be upholstery fabrics. It might be leathers. It might be window finishing fabrics. It might be carpets. We've got, rugs and carpet samples. We also have hard finishes. So hard finishes, as we talked about in our last podcast, being, stone. It might be benchtop stones. It might
Metals.
be metals.
Like yesterday, we went to a tapware supplier and we were given samples of all their new finishes.
Exactly.
Which was
is
great, which
endless.
we love.
We love.
But we'll go into that later. Let's not forget the zillions of cushion inserts you have stacked up in your,
Office.
let's say, library.
Exactly. Yes, because we are always doing cushions for clients, and so I always have a stack of them because everything is custom made, but I do have a standard size.
Feathers go everywhere, people.
Correct, they do. What else do I have? I've got handles, hardware. We've got leathers, as I said before.
Loads of fabrics.
Loads of fabrics.
Linens, velvets. Truly, you have loads of fabric
Correct.
samples.
So that's probably where we start. We start in
rolls
our
of fabric.
Rolls of fabric.
Who's this fabric for, Caroline? Oh, my God, I'm not sure. Rolls of them.
Exactly. So we do try and send our rolls to the workroom instead of them coming to us, but it's not always, or coming to the office, but it's not always possible.
No, and they go to the workroom so they can then be made into a sofa, chair,
window furnishings,
ottoman, window furnishing,
bedhead.
So
that's where we start.
We start with the library, or we go out
And get
in
out-
the car.
Yeah, get everything started and flowing, and start making sure that we're on the same page, and we've now got all that information from our clients. So
From our initial consultation
exactly.
and our questions that we have asked our client. So then we sort of can understand what we think they need, what they like,
Correct.
what would be appropriate
Exactly.
in the space that we're working on, or spaces.
Correct.
And we get in the car, which is called the rig. Caroline has the biggest car. Actually, I've got the same car.
Yes.
But yes, you can pretty much put a dining room table in it.
Correct. Well, I did have one bigger before.
Oh, you did too. I forgot
Yeah,
about
so that
one.
truck's gone now.
It was not easy to park.
No, it wasn't. But thank goodness for Canberra. That's all I can say. But not for my P-plater children.
No.
Anyway.
Anyway, back to getting in the car.
Yeah, so off we go. So our sourcing days can be literally from sourcing light fittings, pendants, having a look at just light switches.
Well, yesterday we did a whole day on tapware
Correct.
and bathroom products.
Exactly.
And that took hours.
Hours and hours. So a lot of the time we are looking at websites. A lot of the our sourcing is looking at websites, but to actually touch and feel things, like you said before, is so completely different than
Oh, it is. I mean, the
looking-
websites are great because they'll have all the dimensions and what the material is made of and whether it's available or not, but there's nothing like touching and feeling.
Correct. So, that again is probably where, we start making sure that all the dimensions and all the sizes and the scale and proportion is correct. So, yeah, like I said, lighting, bathroom, it could be looking at stones, it could be looking at floors,
Yes.
and
Actually going out and sitting on a new sofa, a new design of a sofa, making sure it's comfortable,
absolutely
the legs on it.
correct. Could be rugs.
Yeah.
It could be artwork.
Yep.
It could be, and not all these
Excuse me, light switches.
light switches.
I had to investigate light switches. It was quite interesting, really.
Exactly. So for your own house,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or for your we
No, it was for a client.
yeah, it was, I know. But it's interesting what we do, but not everything is just around the corner, is it?
No.
So we are often on the road a lot.
Yes.
And we are, our
Well, let's face it, most stonemasons are, out in the West, aren't they?
correct. So
In their big factories,
exactly.
as
So
are a lot of suppliers.
we probably just wouldn't go and look at one. We'd actually have a look at various and a lot of suppliers, so that we have done that. And so it's not so we have to do it every week.
No, we don't do that every week.
No.
We do go and see suppliers regularly for fabric
Absolutely.
because they're a bit closer to home, and some furniture retailers.
Yep. So sometimes we do look at the actual retail store, but often we are at, warehouses, where they're actually making the product, which
Yeah.
is fascinating as well. So especially for furniture, we love
Yes.
going, having a look at their factories and, seeing how the furniture gets made and who's making it and the upholstery part of it and
What's
the
actually
legs.
in it. Like, a lot of people don't actually know what the stuffing is in their sofa.
Correct.
And there's quite a few options there.
Exactly.
Feather, Dacron, foam, most people don't know that stuff.
No, exactly.
And that's what we like learning about.
Exactly. So in saying that, that's probably when we are able to, and we do take clients to go and have a look at, and sit on a sofa.
If they've got time.
Correct. A lot of our clients, as we've talked about before, are time poor.
Yes.
So hence us being involved in their jobs.
But if they can, it is great to take them.
Absolutely. Because like in your household, you have a lot of tall people
Yes.
and you're not quite as tall as a lot of them.
Oh, thanks a lot.
So your needs for a sofa or for a dining chair or for an armchair is completely different than what you've got in your household.
Yes, I like to be able to get my feet on the floor when I'm sitting down.
Same, hence me having a lot of cushions in my world.
Yes, but like for tall people, you're going to make the sofa deeper
Correct.
so that, they actually are comfortable and their bottom is at the back of the sofa and they can put their feet on the ground easily, or
Exactly.
and maybe a taller back part of the sofa.
And
Back
also,
cushion.
yeah, exactly. And the inserts, like you were talking about before, some people have a bad back. So,
Yeah.
they talk about having some support. So that's so important in our job.
Or like an older person.
Yeah.
They're probably more after comfort.
Correct.
And perhaps a higher sofa for an older person, because it's harder to get down and to get up as you get older.
Exactly.
And boy, do I know. But truly, we have a lot of clients that have all these special requests because it's the stage that they're at in life.
Exactly.
Or they've been born short or tall.
Exactly.
As you keep saying.
I know.
But, we do try to provide unique product too, don't we? Unique, beautiful, custom-made products for our clients, and that's the point of difference when you use a designer.
Yeah. So not all our items are custom, but
No.
I would say more than half would be custom made for a client.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
That's in all facets of what we do, because it's, cabinetry, it's flooring, it's, so flooring might be stain colour, paint. Sometimes we do actually go and have the paints made for us.
Yes.
We'll say we wanted a little bit more blue in it. So, hence then putting a bit more blue in the undertone of the actual paint. So everything.
And talking about cabinetry, as you were just saying, well, that's massive in terms of sourcing, isn't it? All the finishes.
Correct.
All the shapes, curved is so massive now, but not everyone likes the curve. Fluted. Reeded. There's just so many cabinetry options too.
Correct. So, and going back to your old traditional styles, your shaker style.
Shadow line.
Correct. So the list goes on.
And with the finishes, in your kitchen you've got tapware. So, do you want a brushed bronze tap? Do you want
yes, please.
Well, there's, chrome. It was always chrome, wasn't it?
Correct.
And now it's just gone nuts, hasn't it, with the finishes?
It has.
Rose gold, coloured, powder-coated colour, red, pink, green. Honestly, it's endless.
Yes. So like you said, yesterday we were outsourcing for tapware.
Yeah.
And, the finishes, the sample box that we got from this particular supplier, it had half a dozen, but there could have been, he said that's just standard. And the next one was another half a dozen that you could get made and might take a little bit longer, so that often the lead times are different. But then knowing that we can actually have powder coated, like you're saying, as well. So everything can be powder coated. So that means there's another, 360 colours that can be done.
It's extraordinary. It really is. And tiles, we'll often source some incredible tiles. With tiles also, I should make a note that we always have to consider safety with tiles, non-slip factor, also the feeling of it.
Yeah.
Often they're a bit scratchy, especially on the floor. But tiles, that's an endless topic, isn't it?
Because it is. Durability.
Durability. I just can't believe some of the tiles now.
Yep. And the colour. And the colour of things.
Oh, yes, the colour.
Yeah, so going back.
And the shapes.
Yes.
And the textures.
Absolutely. So going back to what we were talking about before, colours like powder coating. Like what is powder coating?
Oh, okay. Well, it's when the material is it baked?
Yes.
It's a baking process of, let's say, the tap, where it's put through so many.
A spinner.
Yeah, the spinner, and there are other techniques too.
Correct.
To give it that coating, that colour or that finish. That's what powder coating is.
And
I don't know if you want to expand, Caroline.
Well, I'll say, so as we just talked about before, when we're talking about customising a colour, so that colour might be something that we've used in the cabinetry in a particular house, or it's come out in a piece of art in that house, or it's come out in a piece of furniture. So often us customising colours is for a reason.
Yeah.
And that is to complement something else that's going to be in that space.
Yeah, yeah. Like, for instance, what you're saying is perhaps this particular client likes green.
Yeah.
So we've listened to that and we've honed in on that, and we've, put some green cushions on the sofa. We've put a green rug on the floor, for instance, perhaps all different tones of green. And then we thought, hey, let's powder coat a tap so it's the handles are green.
Correct.
That's kind of what you're saying.
Exactly. And just also to give them something a little bit more unique,
Yes.
a little bit more individual. And often getting things custom like that don't cost a lot more.
No. They might not cost more, but they'll generally take longer to make,
Exactly.
which is what a lead time is. How long will it take till it's in my house or in my business?
Correct. So from, sourcing products, in sourcing products, we are finding different things like, as we talked about, kitchenware, hard surfaces, flooring, fabrics,
Bench tops.
And we also talked about going into a fabric house where we might be sourcing other things like trims.
Yes.
But we also might be sourcing wallpaper.
Yes.
So it's in all facets
Which we love.
of what we do. And just to give, a different look. So sometimes,
or a unique look.
Exactly. And sometimes we're introducing clients to something that is actually not on their wish list, but sometimes we just put it in there just to see if it might be something they might consider, and it might end up being on their wish list.
Yes. So, okay, we're talking about all this sourcing. We're running around, we're picking up taps, we're picking up tiles, we're picking up timber veneers. What happens then?
So it's for us, it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
So it's probably more us saying to one another, okay, what is this going to add to this job? And how can we use it on this job? We generally have these conversations in the car.
We do. And we might have collected 5 or 6 samples of one particular item that we're looking at. So let's say 5 fabrics. We're going to try and simplify that for the client because it's often overwhelming for a client. If you show them too many samples, it's overwhelming because they just can't really make a decision. There's too much on the table. So we'll try and simplify it down to 2 or 3 samples of each item we're showing them. And that helps, doesn't it?
Sure does. And that often is why we get asked to do jobs, because people have been into a showroom, whether it's, fabric showroom, tiles, kitchenware, whatever it may be. They've been in and they've like, oh, wow, I just didn't realise there were so many options.
Yeah.
And so for them then to give us their look and their style that they want to achieve, they'll say to us, okay, come on, Chrissy, I can see what you've done here, or I can see what was photographed in, that house, or what you've actually put on your website. How did you get to that? So how and it's because we've narrowed it down for them, because going into a fabric house, for example, is huge. There are thousands.
I remember the first time I went into a fabric house, I just thought, I don't even know where to start.
Correct.
So obviously now I find it easy. I know exactly where I need to go. If I generally try and think
what to look for. What
I'm looking for, this particular
velvet,
or I'm looking for a sheer for a lounge room. I know exactly which area of the fabric house to go to, but our clients don't, because they don't have that experience. They don't go into the fabric houses. So that's why, we do what we do, because
Correct.
we have that skill set. And we also make product documents.
Absolutely.
We obviously can't take whole pieces of furniture. Well, Caroline probably could in her car. Whole pieces of furniture to a client's property. So we make product documents, and it will show, say, 3 different dining room chairs with 3 different options. Might have a leather seat on it, and might just be timber. The dimensions, we'll often give a price
for
that piece of product.
Because we always are thinking of the budget.
That's right.
In all of that, we're budget driven. And I think we've got to be at the right places that we're sourcing from to gain and make sure that the budget and the brief is actually nailed.
That's right. So we'll give them we will give them options, and from there they've got this document which they can keep, and they can go through it over and over and over. It's like a catalogue, really, of everything we've looked at in terms of really furniture. and they can, over a few days think about it and make a decision.
Correct.
But-
and with that, we also submit to them, and that would be during consultations with them. And again, as we say, the fun part of it is actually showing them, that document that we've produced for them, and also samples.
Yeah.
And taking all those samples from the fabric houses, from the tiler, from the flooring, from the
But not too many
stone.
options.
Correct. Always giving them a couple of options. And the thing that we've worked out is it's often the first one. Like Chrissy's saying, we go back to the office and we collate it all, and we try and say, yes, maybe, no, don't really love that now, saw that was a bit better. That's my favourite. And it often comes down to the first one that we've selected, or the first one that we've talked about and that we've found is often our favourite.
But we'll often say they're going to choose that one.
Yeah.
I reckon they're going to choose that one.
True.
Don't you think? 'Cause
Yes.
we've sort of got to know them, and we hopefully have listened enough. We sort of understand what they like and don't like
Exactly.
or need.
Exactly. So that is the most exciting part, when we're producing and we're actually sourcing and we're customizing and we're then showing the client. So that's probably one of our favourite parts of it. And also in that sourcing, we also are considering when and how we're going to take that client into a showroom, or whether, the husband and wife or the partners,
And we try to fit in with them,
the children.
don't we?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are all absolutely.
If they've got a spare hour, we'll go, okay, great, get in the car, let's go.
Correct. So having that and having showrooms and, and having options to take them in is fabulous.
Especially with lighting, which
Yeah.
say we're sourcing a light. Really hard to understand that, isn't it? It's often great to go into a showroom and there's the light, it's on, it's in a particular spot in the showroom. It just makes it easier to see it in their own space.
Yeah, correct. And with lighting, it's become a huge part of what we do as well.
Again, another topic of interest for us because it's endless.
It's
Lighting
endless.
is endless in design
Exactly. And we
and
found
functionality.
Correct. Absolutely. And we found that people love lighting so much more.
You don't think we've created that for them?
Well, I hope so. And I've been away on a trip recently, and the lighting that was actually shown and showcased, it took up probably nearly a third of what we saw at the Milan Fair. So lighting has just taken off. And I think I spoke to you about this, Chrissy, just talking about people actually employing lighting designers.
Yeah, you did. You told me
Instead
about
of
this,
interior designers, they actually have another designer called a lighting designer.
which is a specialist in lighting.
Correct, exactly. And they come on board and they're onboarded to actually specify every part of lighting in someone's property, home, whether it's going to be a commercial property or a restaurant, a cafe, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
in a shop. And they have them, and that's their job is all about lighting.
About the lumens. I think
Correct.
you were saying.
Exactly. So, and a cool light, a warm light, where it's going to be, if it's going to highlight something, for example, in a bathroom, whether it's going to be sconces or it might be even a illuminated mirror.
Which helps putting your makeup on, shaving.
Correct.
So functionality comes into that. Natural light comes into that.
Mood lighting comes into that.
Ambience. Yeah.
Ambience. Yep. And what the feeling of lighting gives you.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Excitement for me.
Okay.
I get excited when I see beautiful lights.
Okay. Good.
Oh,
Might leave that one alone. Moving forward, we love and
Hey, Caroline, hang on.
what?
Why can't we source for ourselves?
Why? Oh, it's harder to do your own job.
Oh no, it's awful.
That's the hardest thing in our
Because we know so many products.
yeah.
We think, oh, but would that other one be better?
Exactly. No, we can't do our own jobs.
Oh no, it's so much harder.
Yeah, we have to bounce it off each other.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky you've got a husband who really enjoys design,
yes.
so you bounce a lot of things off him. But no, we can't do our own jobs.
No, it's hard.
Yeah, it's very
It's
hard. It's one of those things that it's, it's your own passion and what you love, but because we have too many options,
Yeah, makes it so much harder.
makes it so much harder.
We should note here that once we've got all our selections, we do these things called flat lays,
Yeah.
which is arranging all the samples that we have found that we can actually show to the client to touch and feel. We arrange them like flat, perhaps in a box or
In a tray.
and we kind of stack them so that every item is seen, and it brings that particular area all together in terms of the finish and the colours and the materials and the patterns.
I
And
love how
it will
you're
look.
saying that we do it and, it's small and everything's on top of each other. Because when I start getting into a lounge room with,
Oh God, you do.
yes, with 4 different fabrics,
They're everywhere.
I've got to have a dining table for that, or an office table or a boardroom table, because my fabrics and finishes and looks and styles end up everywhere, whereas yours is very neat and tidy.
Well, let's just say Caroline likes to spread things out.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's an example of how
Yeah.
the finished product will look.
And in that, you'd probably you have your document
Yeah,
that you've actually
product
put
document that we were
all
talking
your,
about.
exactly, and you would have produced what that style of the sofa, for example, or the dining table is going to be. So you'd always reference that.
True.
So you have examples.
Yeah. And you just hope this makes it easier for the client to make a decision, because making decisions in design is very hard.
And visualize. I think that's really important, to make sure that you're visualizing.
Definitely. I've got a question for you, Caroline.
Yeah.
There's a myth that I was reading about. Interior designers only work on big spaces. What do you think?
No, we don't. We often are engaged to actually just do one particular area. And so that one particular area might be one room. And that one room might be something that the client just wants to be absolutely fabulous. And it might be a cafe. It might be a shop. It might be an office space, and it might be their lounge room. But that client might have said to us, can you just do this one room? I want it to be fabulous, but I want it to reflect me.
Be the best use of space for that
Correct.
area.
It might be the lighting in it. It might be just knowing and acknowledging that. I think that's really important. And often these rooms and these areas and spaces take longer
Yeah,
than it does doing a whole entire house.
true. Because it's more detailed, just doing one area
Correct.
often.
Often that will take us longer than doing an entire house.
And what about hiring a designer means you need to ditch all your old stuff?
No,
Definitely not for us.
Definitely not for us. We are repurposers. We really enjoy using old pieces and bring them to life, whether it's reupholstering or with art, having it reframed.
Repainting a piece of furniture a different colour,
Correct.
putting new handles on it.
Exactly. Maybe repurposing, armchair and just perhaps leaving, changing the legs on it. Might not even be reupholstering it.
And what about sentimental pieces? I mean, we always, if someone loves, say, a little statue that their mother gave them, well, we're not going to throw that out, are we?
No,
We're
absolutely.
going to find the perfect spot for it.
Yeah, and style it up. And, that statue might even end up being in a frame, and it might end up being on a wall somewhere.
True. Yeah. We love a bit of framing.
Absolutely.
We must not forget that with all these samples, there is a lot of time spent taking them back to the supplier.
Correct.
There's a lot of note taking of the sample so we don't lose it.
Documentation.
It often ends up with a client and we've forgotten that it's at the client's house and we drive around looking for it.
Oh, don't let me forget that fabric sample that I've lost. Sorry, Joe.
But, sourcing doesn't just involve lovely samples, does it? There's a lot of driving around.
Yeah, time.
Sourcing.
But we also have, thank goodness, available to us a lot of reps, and we do have a lot of people who are actually looking for us. So if we're ever needing a particular item, so we're able to ask suppliers and different suppliers. So we do the sourcing ourselves often, but if we're looking for a particular piece, we might say to our suppliers of tiles, hey, have you got this in your product range? And like we talked about before, when we go and look at things on websites, from our supplier, the websites actually will show us that they've got that particular piece on and in their actual product range, because not in every showroom there isn't every piece that is actually available to that.
And those reps, they know every piece of fabric in their fabric house. So
or in the tiler knows every tile
that's
available.
So we sometimes seek their good advice on a particular product, don't we?
Absolutely.
And they'll bring it to you.
And also our reps will supply us with samples, and often we do just get samples that are delivered to us because people want us to look at their products and their items. But we're also very mindful of our time and our clients' time, so we're just not billing hours as we go along. So making sure that we're going to the right source.
Well, we are accountable.
Exactly, and going to the right source and making sure that we're seeing exactly what we want to see, and that product is going to be right for the job.
That's right. We should say we often will take products onto site to see how it looks on site in the particular light that it's going to be in.
And it's also fantastic then, to engage with your builder or your trades who are going to actually be installing or going to be using or making or actually placing that and doing the installation of that item.
That's right. So there's a lot of discussion with the builder and obviously with the client on what we're doing and what we're thinking of providing for the client. So they often need to know,
correct,
just for installation purposes.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say. A big thing of that is in hanging pendants.
Yes.
So often our pendants, which are light fittings, and often they can be a light fitting, which we're going to make as a hero piece, perhaps in a particular area, can be heavy. Yeah. So we need to speak to the builder and we need to speak to the electrician about that.
Just to make sure there's enough beams in the ceiling to hold the weight of it, for
correct.
Instance.
So the structure is there.
And they can fit all the electrics in.
Yeah, exactly. So that's important.
And like window furnishings, if it's a new build, for instance, we might want to make sure there's pelmets in the ceiling so that the tops of the window furnishings aren't seen, that sort of the workings of the window furnishings.
The headings.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Headings, yeah.
And whether it's often we find now that we're doing in new builds, there may be, like you're saying, a pelmet into the ceiling of the build. And so we make sure that we've got, enough space, depth, width, height, so that we can actually have a roller blind as well as a shear.
So a double track.
Correct. So there'd be a track for the shear. There might be even a track for the lining, and there might be another bracket that needs to be installed there for a roller blind. So all those things are considered and talked about.
And affects our sourcing.
Absolutely. So that's why I think it's so important if we can get involved at the beginning of a build, whether it's with a builder, with an architect, when those drawings have been done. I think that is fantastic. If
crucial, really.
Yeah, if that can be, then that's definitely something that's of importance to us.
Definitely. Have you got any questions for me, Caroline?
Oh, I do. Let me think. Okay. Do you love the beginning of our week? And do you love how unpredictable it is sometimes for us?
Okay, what a question. I do love the beginning of the week. I love going through every client and figuring out the process for that particular client and how we're going to go about it. It never ends up the way we started.
No, never. Generally a lot of laughing along the way.
Yes.
But lots of coffees.
Lots of coffees. No, I love all of that. I love it.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of it, actually.
Because what would be your favourite part? What would be your favourite part of our week?
Oh, definitely the sourcing.
Okay.
Definitely. I quite like product documents too.
Yes.
Yeah, just the variety.
Yeah. The chase.
Yeah.
The chase of the next new
I think
best
you like the
thing.
chase.
I do like the chase.
Because we do like to try and find the best products, new products for our clients, don't we?
Correct. That's probably one of my favourite parts.
Yeah.
And also meeting new clients.
Yes.
I absolutely love my initial consultations, just getting to know someone and, getting to read them and, see what they are bringing to the table and
What they need.
What they need and they want.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I love meeting new people too. Well, okay, I think that's about enough of us today. We hope you enjoyed learning about sourcing, and don't forget, if you'd like to, ask us any questions, we have our Instagram page, Design Duet. We have our email. You can always DM us or email us and call. Really?
Yeah.
Call.
Well,
okay.
You know me. I like to feed.
She likes to chat. And we will be making a third podcast, so stay tuned, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.